Yesterday evening, I had an accident in my car. Somebody hit me, and as is usual in the US, the police come to every accident, and so they wanted a copy of my insurance card, which was fair enough. I just logged onto the app and it locked me out, and I probably couldn't remember my password, to be perfectly honest. That's not the point though. So I called the phone number. I have an accent depending on where you're watching from. I'm either, a foreign accent to you, or I'm, a British person. Well, it's a foreign accent to where I live in the US, and every single phone system is geared, obviously, towards an American accent. But what does that mean for me? It means that I can't get through the interactive voice recognition because it doesn't understand my accent. So here I am, stood in the middle of a road, leaning into my car, shouting auto at my phone that simply doesn't understand me and just keeps telling me that it's sorry that it didn't quite understand what I was saying. I could not get through to speak to a person. Now, what I tend to do in instances like that is I give my phone to my other half and say, speak to this. And in that instance, I gave the phone to the policeman and said to the policeman, speak to this. Please just say auto in your accent and then I'll get through to the right person. Am I the only person that sinks when you hear a robotic voice answer a call with please state the reason for your call, or, when it's obviously some sort of chat bot that really doesn't understand either my accent or my specific query? I'm fed up, right? Do I sound it? I'm clearly not the only person that's fed up with this, because the latest sort of buzz phrase on the street is this human-centered IT service management, or HC ITSM. And I know that you're probably thinking that it doesn't affect you, so really why should you care? But you should care. It's a game changer. It really, really is. A few years ago, the world was really, really buzzing with all of this excitement about AI and about automation and about all things sort of futuristic. And we started seeing AI-powered chatbots that were handling customer inquiries, and these IVR telephone systems that were answering our calls. And as business leaders, we were all eager for it because it meant increased efficiencies. It reduced costs. It provided a more consistent experience. It allowed us to gather consistent data. But somewhere in our eagerness to automate everything, we forgot about the most important aspect of all, and that was our customer. That was our human experience. And this is where human-centered ITSM comes in. It's all about shifting the focus from the machines and the processes to the people that use them and to the people that are on the other end of them, the customers. It's about recognizing that behind every IT service request and every issue, every incident, there's a real life human being with real life thoughts and feelings and preferences and accessibility needs. HC, human-centered ITSM, puts the people first, making sure that their needs are heard and understood, and most importantly, met. Last night, I could not get through to the person that I needed to get through to, and this was an emergency, and I just couldn't. So imagine me as a user. What did I think of my user experience? Had I been given a survey at that point in time, it would not have been particularly favorable. And I know that you've all been there. I know that you have. And I know that by the time you've held on for what feels like an eternity and you've screamed operator or reception or real person at the phone 15 times, then you're so frazzled that the call is just no longer pleasant. And for that service desk analyst, the call is never pleasant anyway. So to have a frazzled person at the other end of the phone is even worse. Can you imagine what it's like to be that service desk analyst when every single person that gets through to them is so frustrated that they just end up sort of shouting? And then let's think about the accessibility side of things for a moment. How many of these interactive systems are designed with accessibility in mind? My accent is probably amusing to a lot of people, but it really does annoy me. But what if my need was something that I couldn't bypass by me saying auto instead of auto? Yes, it does sound that bad, doesn't it? Or if I didn't have anybody to give the phone to be able to speak to that IVR person, what if the only way I had of communicating with you was blocked for me as a customer? And that's how it could have been last night. It could have been that the only way that I had of communicating with them was not available to me. See, HC ITSM, that human-centered ITSM, aims to address all of those pain points head on, making sure that using services is as painless as possible, whether it's streamlining the processes or adapting user interfaces or providing better support options. HC ITSM is all about making life easier for the users. And it's not about ditching the bot, it's not about turning back the clock, but it's just about using technology in a smarter way, giving better options where they simply aren't any. It's about making things easier, but it's also about making things better. My phone is a US bought phone because this is where I live. It's a US configured phone. But guess what? I have to set the language on my phone to UK because my virtual assistant, well, Siri, his name is, can only understand me if he talks back to me in an English language. So I have to set my phone to English. It's a workaround, and it does work. And it does leave everybody else amused when they hear my phone talk to me and it's got a British accent. But it's the only option that works for me. And so it does make my life easier, but it's my only option. You see, as service providers, you have to understand human behavior, human needs, human preferences, and human emotions. Then you can tailor your services to suit your individual needs and to suit your customers. You know, some of us absolutely love digging into the sort of the nitty gritty and troubleshooting, while some of us just want a quick fix. And for those that want a quick fix, we have to ensure that the tools are available to them and to everybody. There needs to be solutions available for everyone. So I ask you, please, let's not forget about the human touch. You know, we're in a tech-driven world now, and it's easy to get caught up in all of that allure of AI and automation, but at the end of the day, it's the human connections that really, really matter the most, because we have customers at the end of the day. So HCITSM encourages us to not forget about the human interactions, but actually to put them first, whether it's that user-friendly customer support, whether it's providing user-friendly interfaces, chatbots that actually can understand what you're saying and understand the terminology that you're using when you're typing away, or even some of the colloquialisms that you're using when you're typing away. We have to remember that IT is there for the people, and service management and service support is there for the people. It's not there just so that we can get statistics and just so that we can streamline and cut costs all of our support processes. Organizations that embrace the human-centered service management actually build stronger relationships with their users, and they foster loyalty. And ultimately, that actually drives business growth much more than any chatbot can. So let's make a pledge. Let's put people first. Let's embrace the power of the human-centered service management, and let's consider our people, because let's face it, they are good for business after all.